Wait, where's my beard? Haha, that was just acting. I wasn't really scared. I shaved it off myself. Call me Brad Pitt. How are you? How are you doing? Today I will show you how to play Someone to Spend Time With by Los Retros. This song was requested by all these people. Thank you all so much for your comments. First I'm going to show you how to play the chords, then I will explain the strumming pattern and some difficult parts of the song, and then I will also talk a bit about some music production choices they made in the song, which sounds really boring, but it really isn't. It's quite interesting, and I'm very enthusiastic to talk about that. That will be at the end of the video, so check it out as well. Check out my Instagram too if you like. The links are in the description. Sometimes you can vote over there which song I do next, and that's really everything I wanted to say so far. I hope everything will be clear in this video. So as you could see, that's how to play the song. Most of the chords aren't too difficult, but especially the strumming pattern might be a bit tricky in the beginning. So the strumming pattern is a bit random. He has some stuff that he usually goes back to, also live, but basically it's quite random how he exactly does the strumming pattern, meaning that every time he plays a chord, he plays it in a different way than he did before. Not always, because again he has some standard ways to do it, so I will show you those. But play around with it because he's doing that as well. And really the standard strumming patterns that he's doing that I will show you that you can play around with are these two really, or three that you can say. First of all is this one from the intro. Like that, so. Like that. And as you can hear, I'm not doing it exactly the same, but that's really the rhythm, the to do 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 do, like that. And the exact notes that you're playing, you can play around with because he's doing that as well. So you're really playing mostly the the E, the D, the G and the B string. It's quite difficult to explain, but it's especially important that you get this rhythm. I will show you very slowly how he does the intro. So E, B, G, D, B, G, E, B, like that, those notes. And then he does the same thing for the E, but then only using 3 strings, so like that. And then you also have this A major E6 thing. You can play the E6 like this or like this. When you're playing it like this, don't play the B string. So, but to do it, you do it like this. Mainly only playing the E, the D, and G string. So E, G, D. And again you have this rhythm, but then playing the A, the D and the G string. Like that. Again, play around with it, but try to stay in that rhythm of that I just showed you. And then what's also important to notice about the A major 7, this little trick that you can do to make it easier for yourself. You could also just play the A major 7 like this. So you don't have to switch, you do it like this, as you can see in the chord diagram and as my hands are doing. So. And then you can just play this chord but then switch between the bass notes. So first the E string and then the A string. Like that, a small tip that you can do, that you can use if it's too difficult. And you can play around with the notes because that's what he's doing, and I will also talk a bit about that later in the video on why he's doing it like that and how and all that jazz. So that's the strumming pattern of the verses and the intro. Then the strumming pattern of the chorus is like this. Again, it's the same rhythm, but then he sometimes plays a couple of notes instead of one single note. So. But again, as you can hear, it's really going back to the same standard strumming pattern, only playing around with it. So sometimes he plays a couple of notes instead of. And also you can try to play it with your fingers as well, or with a pick. I like to do it with a pick, but you can also do. In that way, it might be a bit easier to do it with playing the chords when using your fingers. You can do it in a bit more bossa nova style, like that. But you can play around with it, as I'm saying the whole time. It's just important to remember. Then there's one thing about the F sharp 7, that he suddenly goes to the F sharp 7 sus4. And to do that, and then he plays really distinctively this E note. To do that, you gotta. So first hit the F sharp 7, then hit the F sharp 7 sus4, and then also hit the F sharp 7 sus4, but then really hitting the E note loudly. So. And in between this you can play the bass note. So. And then quickly to the B minor 7. But if that goes too fast or something like that, you can also not do it. I won't be mad at you. Then there's also this part in the choruses where he plays a C minor 7 as well. So I'm not too sure if he does it in the studio version that much too. At least he does it in the live version. So it's a nice little add-on to the song. And you just have to quickly play the C minor 7 in before you go to the B minor 7. Like that. Then that's really everything I want to say about the chords. But stay tuned, I'm now going to tell you something about the musical producing choices that he made in this song. So now I wanted to talk a bit about the music production of the song, and especially of the guitar, since that's really interesting. First of all, it's interesting because, as you might hear, it's a bit sloppy, and that isn't really a bad thing, it's really a brilliant thing. I think that's what makes the guitar even better in the song. And by that I mean that he changes the notes that he's playing a lot, and it seems a bit random. And also he there's like this part where you can hear a dead note. I don't know, I'm not sure if it's called a dead note, but it's like you can hear that he hits a note wrong, which you can't really hit a note wrong, I think. Well, you can hit a note wrong, but it's debatable if it's wrong or not. But I think it might have been an accident, might have been not. So, and that's really interesting because it is in the song and it sets you thinking when you're listening to it. It's like it's the guitar before the girl starts singing. You can hear this, and again, it's not a bad thing. I'm praising the song, not saying that it's bad, because it's really interesting to think why it's like that, why it's a bit sloppy from time to time, and there can be many reasons for that. This happens sometimes in music, that you think that, is this right, like did they play a note wrong, especially for example in Baby by Donny and Joe Emerson. You can also hear that the bass line suddenly hits the wrong note and then quickly changes it. At least that's what you're thinking, and that's what makes it so brilliant. Like, I'm saying this now, but I'm not sure why this sloppy note is in the song. It could be that he did it on purpose, which is really brilliant, that he was like, okay, I'm here I'm going to play a note slightly off and see if anybody notices it. It could be that he didn't do it on purpose, that he did it by accident and then listened to it and was like, oh no, this sounds nice, keep it in. Could be that they didn't notice. I've also heard that sometimes when this happens, like when something goes a bit wrong, and then again, it's not really wrong, but like when something isn't really going as it should have, that they basically leave it in because they don't have time anymore, because for some beginning artists it might be expensive to rent a studio. Most of them, of course, do it now in their bedroom, but like, I don't know, and that's what makes it so brilliant, that when you're a guitarist or just somebody that's really listening very closely to the song, hearing these small errors, and I'm really doing this because it's not really an error as I'm trying to say the whole time, but really hearing these things where you're like, is that meant to be there, is so brilliant, because it sets you thinking and it sounds good. There's nothing wrong with it, and I think that's very brave as well as an artist to do it like that, to not try to do it exactly perfect, each time. It gives something more natural and something, more personal to the song by just trying it and not trying to perfect every single thing in the right time and the right note at the right time and the exact same thing the whole time. It adds something very pleasant to the song. That's really what I wanted to say about that. It's interesting. It's quite rare to find these things in a song, because also the distinction between is it a mistake or not is also really difficult, and I'm not sure if this was a mistake or again if this was on purpose, especially when you're listening to jazz or something, like notes are meant to not sound good and stuff. Well, that's also not the right way, you know what I mean, like notes are meant to sound a bit like, is that meant to be there? So it's really interesting to think about if something is on purpose or not, and I think even if it's on purpose or not on purpose, it's still brilliant, because it's part of the song and it should be part of the song. They shouldn't redo it and then change it. But that's what I wanted to talk about for the song. If you want me to do this more, like talk more in depth about stuff like this, I'm not too much of an expert on music production, but I did know a bit about this, I think. But let me know if you like that, and I really hope to see you the next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you the next time.